Hello and welcome to another episode of This Is Our Year, the New York Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Kurland. Joining me as always is my better half, co-host Douglas O'Keefe. Douglas, how are you doing today?
We're doing great, Mikey. How you doing?
I am doing all right. I'm a little jet lagged. I just flew home from Denver this morning, back to sunny California, after watching what was just another awful Islanders game in person this time. So
I didn't realize you were in the building for that.
I was in the building, dude. I was I was 4 rows back on the Avalanche's, side that they shoot, the side that the Isles shoot twice at, and I got to see a lot of bad officiating last night.
Bad officiating, bad play.
We played, dude.
Bad season.
We did not play bad last night.
No.
That
Okay.
Game,
Fair
that
enough.
was probably one of the better full. I actually have a couple of takes on it. Before we get into what this show is really about, which is our Mets fandom and our alcohol, right? And our alcohol. Let's do the alcohol first. Let's do the alcohol first because I'm fired up. What are you drinking today, Doug? Tell the audience.
Today we got. This is actually from Boulder, so this is topical. Yule's Brewing Company. This is called Sushi and Pancakes. So
Sushi and Pancakes.
Bad combo for a bad sports day or week. This is a double IPA, 8.6 ABV, and again that's Yule's Brewery in Boulder, Colorado. So
that's going to take the pain away of this.
That's the plan.
Podcast.
Yeah.
And I am drinking a lovely Grenache blend. This is actually my newest favorite winery up in Napa. It's called A&R. It's owned by the Long family. And I don't know, everyone thinks Napa. They think like big cab savs. This Grenache is a delicious little gem out there in the Napa Valley. So
for us cheers, man. For us wine snobs, what is a Grenache? Is that like a dry? Is that like a fruity taste?
Yeah, it's kind of in between. So if you know, Pinot Noir is kind of like what is the most drinkable when you think of wines. And cabs, there's like to punch you in the face. And cheers, by the way. Let's not let these get warm.
Cheers, Mike. I got the old school Mets Sports Channel mug today, by the way.
I'm still rocking with the 2015? Or is this this is the 2015 World Series mug.
More on that later, right?
The actual mug that Norm might have peed in. We'll tell that story today, hopefully. but it's definitely not the mug that Norm peed in. I think we left that at the station.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I hope you didn't travel with that.
I didn't. But yeah, so last night at the game, I will say two takeaways. Like I saw the game 2 days ago on Sunday, 3 days ago against the Ducks, 4-0 shutout. Isles played a full complete game in all three zones.
They did.
And I watched last night's game against the Avs, the best team in the entire NHL.
Mm-hmm.
And another full 60 minutes. They just got beat by a better team, but they didn't even get beat by a better team. They got beat by the officiating last night. It was
the officiating, yeah.
And
some bonehead plays at the end.
I left after when it was 3-2 and Aho drove. Or no, it was fourth when it was. When did we give up? We gave up the.
It was tied. It was tied 3-3 with about 10 minutes left, right? And
when it was
3-3, Aho makes that nice play.
And then they came down and made it 4-3, and then Aho came back, drove the net.
Oh no! It was tied when Aho scored.
Right,
and
it was tied when Aho scored. You're right.
Yeah.
Aho drove the net and then put it in, and he was taken down. Clear penalty. Puck clearly went over the line. Ref called it a goal on standing behind the net. They went to reviewed it, and somehow overturned it, which I thought the rule was if it's not clearly evident that it wasn't a goal or it was a goal, that you can't overturn the call that was made on the ice. There was nothing that clearly, you can actually, if you slow it down, you can see the clearing of the goal line. and they somehow overturned it.
Yeah, there was a little white line there. It was so damn close.
I mean, but if I can see it on fucking Twitter, you as a referee can see it on a goddamn iPad when you're watching it.
Yeah, it did make sense because they called it a goal, right? I could see them not.
If they had not called it a goal and then they upheld that it wasn't a goal, I would be saying something totally different. But the fact that it was called a goal on the ice and they overturned it with that lack of evidence, and then
they forgot to call the penalty.
They forgot to call the penalty,
and by the way, our captain is the one who prevented it from going over the line. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yes, I did. But it went over the line, but that's all nonsensical to me. Aho got taken down, and then on top of that, there was no penalty called. So if they overturned the goal, then they still should have called the penalty. Right? And then I can't remember exactly when this happened in this whole scheme of things, but they called Ross for a fucking holding penalty at some point when he just got tangled up with Kadri and they both fell down. There was no holding whatsoever. The ref was right there. It was just two guys fighting for the puck and, they tripped over each other and somehow we got a penalty, which led to I believe it led to their next goal, like the number 4 goal. But
it was like almost, yeah, dude. It was like, of course, it was like almost immediately they're on the penalty kill and then they're down a goal.
Yeah,
right?
And that's what I love.
After celebrating. Oh, so okay, so
I saw on Twitter Josh Bailey had a fucking one-on-one with the goalie and he passed it. So
yeah, so what are we on now? You're 13 of that with him?
I don't know, dude.
I think your larger point stands. Like, it was a great game. Let's not lose sight of the fact they're doing all this without Matt Barzal.
That was my point.
And
this team, my friend, is playing like a team with Barzal out of the lineup, and I hate to say it, but it's what I've noticed the last 2. He's not trying to do everything. We're not just giving him the puck. And I feel like he's almost the James Harden of the Islanders right now.
Oh, no. That's too spicy, man. That's too spicy for me.
I mean, I guess it's too fresh for me, but the Nets went from the number 1 offense in the NBA last year, and then they got Harden, and they became this ISO-heavy garbage to watch because everyone just gave Harden the ball and let him get out of his way. And I feel like because the rhetoric has been we don't have any offensive contributors and we don't have a lot of speed, the only way to gain the zone is to give it to Barzal and let him skate into the opposition zone. And I've seen him turn the puck over as many times as I've seen him gain the blue line. And for the last 2 games they've played dump and chase, which is so boring and sucks, but it's the brand of hockey that we play. And we've been gaining the zone and we've been putting some offensive zone time together and keeping the pressure and played probably 2 of the best games we played all year. Now, I'm not saying I don't want Matt Barzal back, but I am saying it's not a coincidence. So your take on that, Douglas?
I disagree with about 60 or 70% of that, to be scientific. No, I think you're right that Matty tries to do way too much at times. Maybe he's like, fuck this. I don't have any wings. I gotta take this myself.
I think so.
A couple of things.
Which I think was similar to Harden as well. Fuck this, I don't have any players.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a decent comp. I mean, the talent's not there for Matty. Someday they need to get him a wing. We've said that about Tavares. We've said that about Yashin. We've said that for all year. But to go back real quick on Barzal, Palmieri and Parisi have been good line mates for him. But one thing you did not mention in your rant, who else got hurt on what was it, Saturday, Sunday,
Chara.
Friday?
Did he really get hurt, or did they finally just take him out of the lineup because he broke the record?
Like, by the way, cheers, Big Z. You did it. You broke the record. Amazing fucking career.
Amazing career. Now let's trade you for a 4th-round draft pick to anybody.
That said, dude, say what you want about Aho, but the puck is moving now. The team looks just so much better, especially in the back end. Yeah, even Green jumping back in looks fine. It's like, yeah, I know they were scratching Green first, but it's like, and I guess they want to get Chara the record, which, yikes, it doesn't look right now, the way the team looks. Hell of an effort against the Avalanche. They were like trying to go for a record, I think, like fewest games to get to 40 wins. I mean, and we, of course, have to mention Devin Taves just fucking rolled us.
Again.
Going 2 assists.
That was one of the nicest give and goes, high-low defenseman, coming down into the slot.
Yeah.
And the forward pulled back, and obviously they crossed up our defense. I mean, it was a beautifully drawn play, and he's one of a few defensemen that could make that work. And he went top shelf right over Sorokin's head. I couldn't even be mad at it. All I could be mad at is Lou for only getting two second round picks for that.
I know, and yeah, so you knew Taves was fired up, and he got it done. And that team is just nasty. I mean, that team. Some other team is going to sign Kadri.
Yep.
For way too much money, and he's not gonna be a 100-point player wherever he lands. Hopefully not the island, but
no, I don't. Well,
he has a Lou connection.
I know. I was just gonna say
never know.
That don't please not. He's 31. We don't need it. He'll be 32. Like we don't need that guy.
Yep.
But
anyway,
I would say they play hockey. They play hockey with 4 lines. They roll at least 3 lines. Their 4th line is not really taking up too much time, but their defense.
No. By the way, Roscoe looks a lot better than Matt Martin right now. I keep him in.
Yeah, I think they've made the right calls right as of recent the last two games. And when you can take Bailey out and put Barzal back in however long that takes, I think that'll be the team you hope to roll for the rest of the year.
I can't believe you didn't see that. Yeah, he 1-on-1 with the goalie. This was with some a guy like the goalie pulled. So we're 6-on-5, about a minute left, and it's just like, dude. What does it take for you to shoot the puck?
Right. He's like Mackie Sasser, the old catcher for the Macs.
Yeah.
Can't throw it back to the pitcher.
I seriously think he might have the yips. And there's all kinds of weird things happening. So look, again, the season's cursed.
Yep.
I think what the Tays being missing and showing us what he can do, that's exactly what this team needs. Maybe Aho can't handle playing in his own zone, but he's done a really nice job moving the puck around, and everybody has. So address that problem in the offseason. I think maybe you just retool it as opposed to rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, deal again. We still got. I mean, it feels like the season should have been over like 3 weeks ago, but we still have like 2 months left before we're put out of our misery. But I think you get what you can for the expiring contracts. Maybe a deal Varlamov, maybe a deal Mayfield. We've talked about this before.
And maybe on Mayfield, I mean, I go back and forth. You made some good points. How look,
I wouldn't. They're
going to have to fill that place.
You can't replace that contract, even with a 3rd-line defenseman. You're never going to replace that contract for a regular guy to get that kind of production.
Pellick Pulak reunited, get someone for Dobson on the second pair, and go roll Salo and Mayfield.
Saho, I guess.
Saho, yeah, whichever one.
Exactly. So, well, a good segue, Mackie Sasser, great catcher, days of yore.
It's time to remember some guys.
Oh, man. So, today we're going to talk about our Mets fandom and why this is always our year as Mets fans.
The Mets.
And I think it's a good segue to start that we finally have an owner that wants to spend fucking money. We went out and signed. He's past his prime, but he's still a great pitcher. And I was looking forward to seeing him. It was very reminiscent of when we signed Pedro. Great pitcher in Max Scherzer. We finally were, getting ready to start spring training. Fucking lockout continues. Games are starting to be canceled as of yesterday.
Yeah, it feels so wrong to be talking about the Mets at all today. After all this bullshit. And, it's completely predictable, right? Are you surprised?
No, right, the owners haven't gotten it in 20 plus years. I don't blame the players one bit. The baseball collective bargaining is so antiquated. It's so owner favored, and these guys just keep putting more and more money in their pockets, and they're not realizing because they don't realize because they don't care that they're losing an entire generation of fans because they're so fucking greedy. And they don't want to make this game more fan friendly. And I know you're a purist, and I am a purist as well. But I can tell you the most boring thing to do is watch 9 innings of baseball from start to finish.
Yeah, for the most part,
or in the stands.
Look, we're blessed to have Gary, Keith, and Ron. I mean, that's I just put on the background while I'm doing stuff, cooking, whatever. Right. I love it. It's always calmed me, dude. I grew up listening to Bob Murphy on the radio at night. All those guys, Ralph Kiner. You're right though. We might be the last generation who's like, I don't know. I saw that Mike Trout has fewer Insta followers than like Tyler Hero on the Miami Heat or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, baseball's hurting, dude.
It's hurting.
So
it's very hurting. Yes, he has half as many as Tyler Hero.
And I think it's mostly self-inflicted, as you said. I don't really want to talk about this shit today, honestly. Like it would be cool just to talk Mets, but here we are.
Well, I think it was a good segue, and I was hoping to talk about where we were actually hoping that this would be our year, because we do have hopefully a rock star pitching staff. We filled all the holes pretty much on the defensive side and in the lineup. Still had a few more things to do, hoping the lockout would end. But You make good points, Doug. Let's talk about why you're a New York Mets fan.
Oh, man. Speaking of loving baseball, right? 1985, started playing Little League. My dad bought me a pack of baseball cards. This is not why I'm a Mets fan, but I just loved baseball back then. I was watching both the Yankees and the Mets back then. That Yankee lineup, Ricky, Willie batting second, Don Mattingly, Dave Winfield. I mean, Ron Guidry on the mound. They weren't great, but they were good. And the kids I hung out with, it was like an even split of Yankees and Mets fans. In '85, I remember went right down to the line, playing the Cardinals. I went to my first game September of '85 against the Pirates. Terry Leach pitched. I missed Doc Gooden by a day. Oh man. Anyway, so I was watching both teams. I just loved baseball, dude. I loved it. I played it. I played it into high school. Just number one sport. I don't know number one sport anymore. And that says a lot about what's happened to the game, right? So anyway, 1986 happens, right? And I'm sure that you have some fleeting memories of it. I'm only a year older than you, but I was put to bed before the Buckner ball, before Mookie hit it. But I have vivid memories of that entire run. It's just an incredible time. And I want to say that my brother was either born on the day or like came home from the hospital on the day that of that just epic Game 6 against the Astros in the Dome, where it took like 16 innings, and Roscoe finally closed it out. So I could talk about. We could do like 10 hours on the Mets, right? But I'll pass it over to you just to maybe for any thoughts that you might have initially, and like how you started as well, because I know you're a diehard.
Yeah, I mean, yes, we are both diehards, and I think that's the whole purpose of the show, is to set the precedence of why we're diehards and why.
Yeah, but you were like writing letters as a kid to like the GM kind of diehard, right?
I mean, yeah. Well, that was the norm. So my father was the biggest Brooklyn Dodger fan on the face of the earth. So I had zero option if I wanted to be a Yankee fan, and I didn't. Right? It was a good, like you said. I was born in '79, '86. I was 7 years old. First love as well. Out in the backyard. I mean, I would spend hours just throwing the tennis ball against the garage.
Same here, man.
Pretending I was Jesse Rusell throwing like 3/4 submarine. I mean, I perfected that at one point in time. I couldn't throw it hard, but I could definitely get a nice little loop on it.
Nice.
And yeah, so again, if you listen to the last episode about Islanders fandom, Norm worked out on Long Island and his company had season tickets to the Mets in probably as back as '84. So I was going to games real young, and they had a box over on the first base line, right in perfect view of Keith. And my dad would once a year take. I'm sure you remember the old boxes at Shea on the lower level that just they were
the orange.
They were foursomes, and they had the little plaque that they would put on your seats. So we had the same seats every year, and it was great. We would do a family outing to Shea, and it consisted of Norm smoking about 5 cigarettes in the car with the windows rolled up, and me and Meredith getting excited in the back seat. Meredith, my sister, and getting loud, and my dad would always drive in complete silence, and would turn around, shut the fuck up, kids, shut the fuck up.
That's our
God
norm.
forbid 6 and 5 year old kids are excited to go to a baseball game. And my mom
would he have the fan on, or like he would just?
I don't think so. My dad was...
Well, actually, you know what? The fan didn't kick off, till 87 or 88, I guess. So.
Maybe it was CBS radio at the time. I don't know. But yeah, he wasn't listening. Regardless, Norm wasn't listening to the radio. It was dead fucking silence in the car for that. What seemed like an eternity, but was probably 45 minutes from Norwalk to Queens back in the day. But yeah, so just going to games and then they used to be on I think they were on WWOR when we were kids.
Channel 9, baby.
Channel 9, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they carried, that was, most of the games and then Sports Channel, right? And we had Sports Channel.
It used to be like a split, but dude, even when I was a kid, even when we were running around outside, playing kickball all day and shit like that over the summers, I would still try to run back inside in time for the Mets game, or at least like the third inning or something. Like I would. Yeah, you and I were diehards, I believe.
Yep, I would be inside for first pitch every game, as long as I was home, and then I would read the sports page cover to cover.
Oh, dude, yeah.
In the morning, and this was when there was no internet, so
I was box scores,
ripping through box scores, and I knew every player, I knew all their batting averages, I knew who they were, what college they went to. So that
what's hilarious? I was cleaning out. Sorry to cut you off. I was cleaning out some old shit about 10, 20 years ago. I found that I had literally cut out like standings from the newspaper from the 86 season. Just because the Mets are so damn good. I was so excited. I was like cutting them out.
Yep.
Yeah. And saving them.
And I don't remember the 86 season, as well as you do. I know I watched all those playoff games with my grandfather and my father. I know that they were glued to the TV. And I know Dad had gotten tickets for the box for, I want to say it was game. I don't know if we had game 1, 2, and 4 and 6, 7. Is that correct? Against the Red Sox.
Yep.
So I think he had tickets to game 2, and he was taking my mom and he was taking a buddy from work. He was taking my mom. He was taking my grandfather, and he told my sister and I got one ticket left. Who wants to go? And I'm like, of course I'm gonna go. I'm the son. I like baseball. She doesn't even care. And Meredith. I'm sure you've heard this story before, Meredith.
I have.
Like, I want to go too. And my dad looked at me and he was like, well, since you guys can't decide, I can't take either of you. And so we never got to go. Yeah, thanks, Mayor. So that's
and if I recall correctly, she grew up to be a Braves fan, which is no wonder.
She is now a Mets fan, but she definitely rooted for the Braves.
She was like trolling us, right?
Yeah, she was exactly before trolling was a thing. It wasn't me and you. It was to piss Norm off. She did anything
That's fair.
she could to root against my dad. So yeah, she's now Islanders fan. She's now a Giants fan. She's now a Mets fan. And,
that's good to hear.
Yeah, and I don't think she cares about basketball. So,
well, not many of us do. No, I'm kidding. No, but anyway, hey, mid to late 80s Mets, just so much fun, right? Like we all obviously know what happened behind the scenes and how they never really won as much as they should have, right?
Right.
They're one of those organizations that, and look, no wild card, right? There were a bunch of seasons where they had like 95 wins and just someone was better.
To your point, the drugs took that team down. I mean,
the partying
between Gooden and Strawberry, and look, there's great recollections out there. Once Upon a Time in Queens. If you haven't seen that,
of course.
30 for 30 on ESPN. That's, even if you're not a Mets fan, please watch it. It's great. And any of the books from or
you can borrow my VCR if anybody needs to. This is autographed by Keith Hernandez, by the way.
Yes.
And, for those of you who are only listening, this is 1986 year to remember, the official one. So
there's also another book that was written.
I watched that like 200 times.
About the 86 Mets that you.
Oh yeah, like the Bad Guys one or something.
Yeah.
Like there's been some great stuff on it. And by around 89, the front office started to panic, started to make some bad trades, some bad signings.
The guys were crazy, dude. Like Strawberry and Gooden were both on coke and that's why Mitchell was immediately traded, which was the first of the bad deals. It was such social racial profiling.
Yeah, Kevin Mitchell for McReynolds, and McReynolds was a fine player. But Jesus Christ, Kevin Mitchell blew up.
Yeah, MVP, I believe, in 87 or 89, one of those years.
Yeah, like 89. I remember him catching a fly ball with his bare hand. Yeah, he was a pimp out there. Yeah, and I remember 87. There were a bunch of pitching injuries. I think Doc went into rehab that year, or maybe 88.
Doc went to rehab in 87.
Bobby Ojeda cut his finger off with hedge clippers. I mean, the Mets started to be the Mets around 87. I mean, maybe it's the curse of Buckner, whatever you want to call it. But dumb shit just became the theme, right? And here we are.
The norm, exactly.
I don't want to do the math, but I think we're pushing 40 years on 35 or whatever. It's been dumb shit pretty much ever since, right?
Yeah, and then
with the exception of a couple of breaks
when we signed Bonilla and Saberhagen and Coleman and spraying reporters with bleach.
Those
David
were dark
Cohn
days.
Was beating off in the fucking bullpen.
Oh, how can we forget that? There was a rape charge against Coleman and Gooden, I believe. Yeah. Daryl Boston. Yeah, the firecrackers. Did you mention that one?
I didn't mention
Vince
the
Coleman.
Firecrackers in the clubhouse. No.
Oh God, what else?
Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. We're still paying Bobby Bonilla for another 30 years. So
yeah, that contrarian take, but that's dumb. People who like, haha, that's so funny, don't understand the future present value of money. But
yes,
anyway.
I agree. It is dumb, but to be reminded. That.
But yeah, look, you know what? I just defended the ball puns. I'm going to finish my beer.
Yeah. So. All that being said, so much of that 86 team was our life, our childhood, and just being Mets fans because the Mets owned the city in the 80s. Even though, and they should have won in 88. I mean, fucking, it took, pretty much.
Mike Scioscia, goddamn it, Mike Scioscia,
and Oral Hershiser as well.
Oral Hershiser just shut us down. But random catcher, well, not random, but catchers homering against us became a theme, or at least a pattern with 06. But don't want to jump ahead. But yeah, for those who weren't around, it might be hard to believe, but New York went absolutely bananas for the Mets. And I don't know. I don't know. Mike, what do you think? Do you think like in 96, the same thing happened with the Yankees? No. Or do you think this is still a National League town?
It's a National League town. The Mets are the underdog bad boys, which is, what I think embodies a lot of the boroughs. I think the Yankees are very buttoned up corporate Manhattan-y. So, you want to drink a martini and go out to a bar and watch the Yankees in a stuffy Manhattan area.
So like similar to the Giants-Jets split.
Yes, exactly. The Jets are grimy as well, as we all know. So, but let's talk about your favorite Mets story. There's so many, Doug. There's so
Mets story?
Yes. What's your favorite memory? How about that?
I thought we were going to do games we went to, but
yeah, I mean those are memories. Let's do it.
We've been to some good games, Mikey.
Well, should we start with Should we
go chronological or just?
Or should we just put our cards on the table? Our players
clearly, we planned this episode out.
Yes, I think we go with. We'll start with where you can't really go back from because we both deserve to be there after many, many years of anguish and torture. And, being reminded every year that we had never thrown a no-hitter. Mm-hmm. I purchased a set of tickets in February randomly from my future ex-brother-in-law.
No. This wasn't even a partial set. This was like, hey, you want to go to a game?
It was like, hey, company season tickets are available. If you want any, let me know, and I'll put them in for you at cost. And I saw the list, and it was June 1st. And I said, hey, Doug, June 1st, are you available? And you said, yeah, why not? It's fucking February, Mike. I'll put it on my calendar.
We've skipped, exactly. Right, we've skipped over a bunch, but by that time, the Mets were pretty bad. We were just, we had our lives now. We were probably going to maybe a game or two a year, tops, right?
We were,
we were not like
late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, and like when we were in our earlier 20s, we would buy those partial packs and sit through, and that was like the late Bobby Valentine days and the early Art Howe days, which are just miserable, right? So, we don't have to revisit that. But again, you were like, you sent me an email. It's like June 1st. June 1st to me, which just sounds like a great day anyway. I'm like, yes, that's going to be a beautiful day at the ballpark. Let's go to a baseball game.
Yep.
By the way, the replay of this was on last night on SNY.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So we had no idea who was going to pitch.
I was looking for us.
Johan happens to be pitching against the St. Louis Cardinals.
Johan Santana, who amazing pitcher. Shame that he didn't get much Hall of Fame consideration. Sushi and pancakes. But yeah, a lot of people might not remember. By 2012, he'd already been with the Mets for 3 or 4 years. Already had some injury problems. So
yes, anyway, I think he had just come back and his shoulder was starting to fall off, and that's the end of any pitcher. Tommy John is a walk in the park these days, but when that labrum starts to go, hang him up. And his labrum was starting to go, and he came out on this beautiful June night.
It was a beautiful night. We had seats behind home plate, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, not like first 5 rows, but
close enough.
Yeah,
we got to watch from an epic view with about 13,000 other fans because nobody gave a shit about the Mets at that point.
Yeah, and by the way, I think it was like the first time I ever sat in that kind of like had that good of a seat. By the way, so
yeah, it was great. And we watched the only one-hitter, no-hitter in Mets history. Because that was definitely a double by Beltran, not to be blasphemous, but they ruled it.
It was
in
kind of like Strahan's
terrible officiating. They ruled it foul.
Kind of like Strahan's sack record.
Yeah. Well,
a little bit of an asterisk.
So we were there for that, and that I think we well deserved through all the years. I mean, we've said it to this day. We deserve this. We deserve this to be in attendance randomly for the only no hitter thrown by a Met in history.
Just incredible, right? That we picked the day. And because that was a thing. Like, I don't know what we used to call things that weren't, what's the word for just something that just gets mentioned constantly, just attached to your franchise, right? Like the Mets have never thrown a no-hitter. Look at all these great pitchers they've had. Like Tom Seaver came close like 6 times or whatever.
Oh, we traded Nolan Ryan, who went on to throw like 4,000.
7. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And just an incredible night. I remember there was an elderly Cardinals fan there. And I swear to God, he looked like Bob Gibson. I never asked him, but I was like bothering him. I was like, have you ever seen anything like that? He was being polite, but he's like, please leave. Like, I could tell he's like, please leave me alone. But I want to think that we sat next to Bob Gibson for that. I'm just going to go with that.
Hey.
What do you think?
Yes, I think so. So, now that we've dropped one of the bigger games that we've been in attendance, I'd like to hear your favorite memory. Come on, there's so many games that we've been to together. I've got a few that I want to talk about.
Yeah, no, I've got a bunch, but I think close second would be it was Game 5 against the Braves in 1999, NLCS. That one happened to go in extras. If you're a Mets fan of a certain age, you remember this one too. Robin Ventura's grand slam single walk off.
Yep,
just mayhem in the stands. We were not in good seats that time. We were in like the mezzanine.
Yes,
but it was an absolute. I mean, first of all, what were we like? 99. God, I was 21.
Yeah, 21 years old.
We'd probably been drinking all day. I think it was like a late afternoon game.
Yep.
Beers stopped at what, 7th inning?
Yep.
That shit went 16. That was a marathon of like.
I went from drunk to sober before we left that park.
Right.
And I had a hangover in a good way, but my head definitely hurt from yelling and from being dehydrated.
Just incredible. And like 99 was one of my favorite years, just favorite Mets teams. The infield was amazing. That was the year they had Cedeno and Henderson going off. So it was like a super fun team to watch, right? John Olerud was one of my favorite Mets of all time. Just a sweet swing, like kind of like Keith Light, right? Yep. So, and fuck Henry Rogers to all hell for what happened the next game against the Braves. Fuck the Braves. That was the Rocker year, wasn't it? Or was that 2000?
2000, I believe we played the Yankees in the World Series. Or was that 2001?
Oh no, yeah, of course. So yeah, it must have been 99 where Rocker was talking shit about the 7 train and all that.
Yes.
So yeah, just an absolutely charged atmosphere. And I don't know if this happened to you, but when that ball was hit, it was, I believe, it was bases loaded, right? And 1 out, I believe. So I saw the ball get hit by Ventura and go into the outfield, and I'm like, we won. And the entire crowd reacted like we won, right? But like I started, because we went with a bunch of people, I believe.
We did.
Everybody just started jumping around. I never saw the ball clear the fence, and I had no idea it was a home run until we got home. Swear to God, that was the Shea mayhem that happened that night. Just incredible. Like that was not the only time, but one of the few times I felt Shea Stadium shake.
Yeah, it was electric that night, and being 21 and your whole adult life ahead of you, and you hope your whole adult sports life ahead of you because your team, 13 years prior had won the World Series. You think, they're due in 13 years, right?
13 years,
right,
exactly. God.
So it was amazing, and it and to your point, we had bought some ticket plans every year.
That's right after 99, I believe.
Yeah.
We started doing that.
Yeah, from the time we were 21, when we could afford to, throw our money at Islanders and Mets, we did. And we went to, 10 game packs every year. We went to 10 games.
A lot of trips down on weekday nights, right?
A lot
after
of
work,
shitty Tuesday night.
Bombing down to Shea and the Coliseum, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, and sitting up there and like having whole sections to ourselves, or like giving the guy $5 and then we go down to the better seats. But man, yeah, great memories. Shitty teams. I mean, Bobby. Look, I voted for Bobby V for mayor here in Stamford recently. I never really thought it was his fault. Like usually it was just Wilpon fuckery or whatever.
Yeah, Steve
Phillips did some bad things, but yeah, that was one of the better times in that's history. And we got waxed by the Braves and we got waxed by the Yankees. But hey, we'll always have those memories, right, Mike?
Yeah, and I think Bobby. I think it was hard going to college in 2000 or 2001, whatever it was that we went to the World Series, and all these fucking I'm the one diehard Mets fan in Lynchburg, Virginia, and all these asshole Yankee bandwagon fans. They're excited for them to win their World Series. It was
the late '90s was just a nightmare to be a Mets fan anyway.
Yes,
because the Yankees renaissance. I'm still a Jeter hater. And Clemens, of course. Oh man, Clemens versus Piazza and all that.
That actually still to this day boils my blood that Piazza didn't charge the mound. I mean, the guy fucking hit,
That's fair.
He hit you, threw behind you, and then he threw a fucking splintered bat at you, and you just walked dude. I mean, I don't know. I didn't understand that. That was worse.
I'm sure there was some shock, like what the fuck, but
and then what made it all worse is the next year, fucking Sean Estes has the opportunity to drill Clemens, and he threw it behind him because he knew Clemens would charge the mound, which
he threw like a curveball behind him.
Yeah,
he didn't even wind up.
People laughed at him.
He did hit a home run in that game, though.
Whatever. He wasn't worth
off Clemens. No, but you're right. L's all around. I remember seeing Steve Phillips at one of the bars we frequented in South Norwalk around that time, and just shaking my head at him. And by the way, he was a tiny dude.
Still flirting with his overweight administrative assistant while he was married. That whole thing. I mean, anyway, more black eyes. So the last 20 years have not been kind to us, Douglas.
No, but 2006 was pretty fucking sick. I don't want to talk about the 2 years after it, but I think we had a great time in 2006. And I know you and I went to one of the games against the Dodgers, the NLDS. Oh, yeah, by the way, beer number 2.
What are we drinking?
Is brought to you by our friends at New Park again. This is New Park Brewery in East Hartford. And this is the Lumen India Pale Ale. So,
very nice.
Cheers.
Yeah, 2006 was great. We finally made all the right moves. Manaea was in charge. Phillips was gone. I don't know who.
Breaking news.
Who was the manager? It was Willie.
Willie.
Yeah, Willie. Who
You're too a Willie.
I still got a gripe with Willie. Willie was too stoic. Never once got thrown out of a game. And what did when he got replaced by Manuel? What did Manuel do within? I want to say the first week, he got tossed just to show his players that he wasn't scared to get tossed. But
he did. I don't know what was going on with that team by then. In 08, 09, it was a shit show though.
Yes.
So we, as Met fans, we have these brief moments of happiness. 2006 was certainly one. I know this just because it's been in my brain since it happened. That was the year I probably went to the most Mets games in a while, and every game I went to, they won. I think it was like 8 or 9-0, and I know it was you and I on a bunch. And I went to 2 of the Cardinals games, and they both won those. Game 2 and Game 6.
We were at the game when they clinched.
Yep. Oh, yep. We were at the clincher against the Marlins, which gets replayed on SNY as well. So yeah, just absolute great memories. Except obviously, goddamn Yadier Molina versus Aaron Howard,
or pure
pain.
Adam Wainwright curveball that just hung there forever.
Just an incredible pitch. And I'm actually, I don't think Carlos should be blamed. Carlos was one of the best Mets ever, I think, in my opinion. So
he was definitely an underrated and underappreciated Met. I said it because
people couldn't let it go.
No, I was pissed when it happened, but I mean, we've never seen a center fielder as good on this team since.
No,
nor before.
Yeah, maybe ever.
Yeah. It was, by far the best center fielder we've ever had on this team. Well-rounded, could play center field like a gazelle, couldn't hit anything over or in front of him, had a pretty decent arm, was going to steal
it look so effortless
because it's going to steal you 20 bases, hit you 25 home runs, drive in 100 RBIs, bat 280. I mean, the guy was as good as it comes as a center fielder. So,
it's between him and Juan Samuel for me.
Yeah.
That's true.
Juan Samuel. Did he play center? I thought he was second base. Yeah.
Dude, Juan Samuel, I'm sorry, Lenny Dykstra and Roger McDowell for Juan Samuel. That's
still the worst trade.
Somewhat. June of 1989, pretty much the end of my innocence, right?
Yep. I remember waking up and being like, we traded McDowell and Dykstra for who? For what?
For who? And he's playing center?
Yeah. What? Yeah, that was awful.
And then Mookie was gone within a month. That was a rough year. That was also the year I moved away from New York, and I just didn't watch them for a while, or I couldn't watch them for a while. There was no internet, obviously. So I was in the South, man. I had to wait for them to play the Braves.
Yeah.
Checking on like the 93 Mets, which I guess I was spared.
You were.
Jesus Christ.
And I was also not in New York at the time, so I also got spared.
That's right. Yeah, you were up in Canada.
Canada, exactly. But I do want to say one of my favorite is more recent. We went to, even though it was a shitty game, right? It was Game 5 of the 2015 World Series, where we
pretty incredible baseball game.
Yep.
But yeah, shitty outcome, right?
It was the end of Matt Harvey.
It was,
and and all the stuff that's going on with him in the news these days.
Right.
I've had such a love-hate with him, and he admitted to his drug usage and drug whatever,
which I thought was big. I thought that was big of him.
It was. It's probably going to cost him a lot more than he realizes.
Well,
or
speaking of shoulder problems, he's pretty much cooked anyway.
Yeah, I think he also did it to himself. We knew back then that he was doing drugs, and you could see
it's complex, man. He's not the only one who did that.
No, definitely not. But the guy was lights out, right? And then
2013, he was absolutely dominant. I hope people remember that he was must watch, absolutely dominant.
Yep. The Dark Knight, dude. And then I went to the game where he pitched. I want to say he pitched against. They were playing the Tigers, and he was either pitching.
Yeah, no, you and I were there.
Yeah, he pitched.
That was the day.
Was it either Scherzer or Verlander that he pitched against?
Yep.
And that's the game he blew his arm out at.
Yep. And we were in the house for that too.
And they announced the next day he needed Tommy John. He was out all the next year. Came back 2015, and he didn't miss a beat in 2015.
2015 was magical run starting in August.
Yep, looked great.
And he was in for it. Boris is like, no, dude, like we got to limit these innings. Like you're rushing it back.
Yep. And he said, no
but
way.
But you and I were among the 45 or whatever thousand stomping, just making as much noise as we could in Citi Field for him to come out that ninth inning. And goddamn, we were happy he did. And I know you remember him just charging out to the mound and being like, "Let's go."
Yep.
So, Terry obviously should have taken him out a batter early.
Yep.
But yeah, they blew the game, and of course you and I were sitting on the foul line, right down first base.
Yep.
So we had a perfect view of Lucas Duda's screw up throw to home plate, where I think they would have gotten Hosmer, whoever it was that was going to score, and he threw it wide, and the Royals tied it. I remember we were sitting right behind a couple of Royals fans, and the whole game just saying, just wait, they were saying, just wait. We grind you down. And that's what that Royals team was. They grinded us down. We hung around to the 13th, 14th inning that night. And then we went home.
Yep.
Pretty unhappy.
I was with, and I'll never forget that game, because that was the game where life came full circle, and I had a chance to take my father to a World Series game. And I told him, Norm, RIP, I told him, I'm not going to make you stay home and choose between you and Mom. I'm just going to take you, Dad. So, so we went to that game.
That's great.
And that was actually the last game I ever went to with my father that I'm pretty sure that was the last game I ever went to with my father. We may have gone to a few Padres games after the fact, but that was the last real big game I went to with my father. That was the last game at Citi Field I went to with my father. And it was a fun one. It was definitely memorable. Norm definitely made friends.
Dude, we
made friends with the girls behind us, and couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know how much you want to talk about.
He was too old to make it to the bathroom with 45,000 people in the house, so he just decided to go in one of the cups because he had too many drinks. So good for Norm. R.I.P.
Yeah, good for Norm, and the only World Series game I've been to. Hopefully not the last. But no matter what happened, I mean, I'm happy that we're in the building for that, because that was just an incredible baseball game. So damn close, but isn't that the story?
Right, exactly. So close, but no cigar. So let's go moving right into, we are in the lockout like we talked about earlier, but what do you think about this team on paper right now?
Oh man, it's hard to think about it, right, with all this bullshit, but.
What do you think about the manager? Let's just do a quick synopsis of what you think. We don't have to talk, where we're at currently and what you think. And what you think the future holds.
Remember the pandemic year when how many teams made the playoffs? 16. It was something ridiculous, and the Mets couldn't even do that. Whatever happens here, it's going to be 12 or 14 playoff teams. It's just be absolutely stupid if the Mets aren't in the top 12 or 14, right?
Right.
Everything. And I can't wait to do full episodes on this stuff. But real quick, everything depends on Jacob deGrom. How's he doing?
Right. Agreed. We haven't heard anything, and I think that's a bad omen. There has been no updates.
You think it's bad? I'm not sure. That's Jake. Jake's the anti-Harvey, right?
Yes.
You don't hear anything about it.
And I think that's what also allowed us to sign Scherzer, is that he's like, sure, I'll be the number 2. I don't care. I don't need a pitch opening day. He's got no ego. But
well, Scherzer's a maniac. Who's got no ego? Jake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sign Scherzer.
It's like Max might have a problem with
day. I don't give a shit. Let him pitch opening day, right?
Did Jake say that?
Nah, I mean, I'm just assuming, right?
Yeah. Exactly. How do we know?
Right.
So, but look, on paper, dude, fucking love it.
Yeah.
That said, we're in the NL East, man. You got the defending champs. And the Nationals and the Marlins might. I actually don't know how to read the Marlins. I got to do my homework on the Marlins.
I think
sounds like the Nationals are going to suck though, and
there's trouble in paradise. I mean, Jeter stepped down. I think it was yesterday as the CEO,
right?
And
I believe they have good pitching though.
They have good pitching, but you got to think, in the timeline of all things baseball, why would Derek Jeter walk away from his 4% ownership and the CEO of the team? And I got to think it's because ownership was one of the owners that were fighting against, increasing pay for the players. And Jeter, as a former player, was probably like, you guys just want to line your pockets, right? So fuck you.
Yeah, I'm out, right?
Yeah. As much as you still hate him, I still hate him too, but he always did everything right. I'll tell you, the guy. I mean, if you ever want to look at anything interesting on the internet, I don't. I'm kidding. Just look up, look up Derek Jeter and two things.
Nope.
Derek Jeter herpes tree and Derek.
Okay.
And look up Derek Jeter goodie bag. Those are two epic New York.
Folklore. Yeah, so I know the second one. Don't think I'm going to put the herpes thing in my search history, but I could probably surmise where you're going with that.
It's fun to take a look at both of those things.
All right, cool.
Great stories.
So we're back on hater shit. I love it. But anyway, dude, the Mets actually have been underachieving, I believe, for a couple of years. I love the bats, but the bats never like all hit at the same time. So I look, let's pray that next week maybe we actually get to dive into this stuff, and we're not talking about like, okay, maybe it's 140 game season.
Yeah,
now
totally,
or whatever bullshit. So again, baseball's its worst enemy. That is it. I don't want to let that slide. You just made a great point about maybe why Jeter quit, and he sees the writing on the wall, and some of these owners just like want a write-off or something and are not going to invest in their teams, and it's really fucking with the sports. So,
yeah, and we finally have we aren't one of those teams finally after 30 years.
Yeah. Oh,
we got an owner who wants to spend money and win a fucking championship, so let's go. I want to get back to it. But
and that's the cruel irony, right? Because we just had to deal with like the Brody Van Wagenen era.
Yep, that's so Mets.
And before and before that, it's so Mets exactly. Before that, the whole decade of like Madoff. Like, we can't spend money now. Yep, you're in New York.
Yeah, man.
Sell the fucking
team.
The
fact that we weren't forced to sell the team after the Madoff Ponzi scheme came out.
Right.
The fact that we went through
damage control, Sandy.
I mean, the New York Mets are akin to the Washington football team commander Redskins.
Don't you ever say that? No.
In terms of sexual harassment cases and stupidity inside of the front office. And we finally have fixed what seems like fixed all of these things. You know, Sandy's taken a step to the side. Billy Epler I don't know if he's proven if he's a good GM or not, but he's been adequate so far in the off season with the things that he's been able to take care of. We've brought in a guy that is going to actually be a manager and not a babysitter in Showalter, and he's going to make these guys act like professionals, and he's going to get the most out of everybody on the field. And we haven't had a guy like that since Bobby V. So
you know what's crazy? Like with everything that's happened, I just remembered that Buck Showalter is our manager.
Right? We haven't even had.
We got to get this shit started.
Exactly.
Fucking figure it out.
So,
because if not, we're not going to have much to talk about on this amazing podcast we have here.
We'll talk about a lot of fucking NFL free agency and draft speculation.
That's true.
And hopefully, we can talk about Kyrie's vaccination status on the next couple of episodes.
Ooh, can't wait.
It can't wait. So, Dougie,
how's Ben Simmons back doing?
It's about as good as his mental health. I'm so up in arms about Brooklyn right now that I can't. I don't even. I'm
sorry, man.
I don't know what to think or believe. I cannot fathom that this guy doesn't want to play against his former team. And that that he's saying he's got a back injury so that they don't have to play him against his former team in 8 days.
Not great.
And if that's what this is shaking up to be, like, if you can't even go to war in the regular season against your former team because you don't want to set foot in that building, then how are you going to survive in 7 games? Right. And obviously he crumbled last year in the playoffs too. So maybe that's who he is. I don't know.
Well, as usual, you are the Job-like character of New York sports. It's just nothing but misery.
This is our year, Doug. This is our year.
Dashed hopes and misery.
Yeah.
This is our year, baby.
This is our year. All right, guys. Well, that's our Mets fandom for you. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. This was fun. And we could do this for a few more hours. But I appreciate you guys listening.
All right. Until next week, audience, Dougie, I will talk to you next week.
This podcast was produced by Heartcast Media.